Live from New York, it's Ask an Engineer.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another sweltering Ask Engineer. We're broadcasting live from downtown Manhattan in the overstuffed, super cozy Adafruit Ultra headquarters. I'm Lady Ada, the engineer. Hey Phil, can you demonstrate who I am?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Zoop! And with me is AdaBot.
Hello.
The Zooper. Zoop!
Oh, God.
We've got a fantastic show with all sorts of cool demos, blinky stuff, distros. Tell them what's on tonight's show.
On tonight's show, the code is distro in celebration of releasing our first Linux distro.
Disco or distro?
Distro.
Oh, man, I got my big pants out and everything.
Distro. He was the villain in G.I. Joe. Distro. Anyways, we'll be talking about what's on the show and tell what we just had. We'll have mailbag. We'll be talking about a neat post from Kevin, EE Bookshelf. Some interesting news in the wonderful world of open source hardware, including a journey to the past. The past where I used to design logos.
Okay. There's like a journey.
Yeah.
Memory road.
We'll talk about tickets are on sale to the Open Hardware Summit. Ask an Educator from Adam Kemp.
Double Ask It.
We have QR code in our Academy. We've got some awesome updates and some new tutorials in the Adafruit Learning system. We're going to talk about a new video from Becky that she did. We're going to talk about Raspberry Pi. We're going to talk about some new fritzing parts that John Junior just worked on with us. We're going to talk about some new products. We're going to answer your questions. We're going to have a trivia question.
Trivia question.
We're going to have all that.
We're going to have a cat.
And a cat.
Oh,
meow, meow, meow. It's actually doing meow in the background. All that more on Ask an Engineer.
Meow, 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 meow. Okay, great.
All right.
It's a really good show.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
Want to do this?
Let's do this.
Okay. So
I'm ready to do this.
Yeah, the code is distro. 10% off many things in the Adafruit store. 10% off. Use the code on checkout. You get 10% off many things. Not everything, but most of the stuff we make.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the show and tell. So we just had a show and tell. Over the summer, it's either packed or it's a little empty. First it was empty, then it got packed.
Yeah, it
So we had Ethan, Becky, Andy, and Dan show up. And
Ethan was first.
Yeah,
and Ethan has been working on this two things: a quadcopter and a altitude balloon for a couple months now, and he's getting going. And this summer he wants to maybe finish the altitude balloon and launch it in September, probably one before school starts. And the quadcopter is on hold until after the altitude balloon, but he's waiting for some parts. Yeah. Because he needs an SMA to SMA connector cable.
Cool project, and it's neat that we get to see the progress. You know, usually we send things to customers. You know, they place an order, and then we just see the end result. I kind of like that the show and tells allow us to look into projects that they're getting built and some of the challenges and struggles. And you know, what's funny is waiting for UPS for a package is the same thing as like we're waiting for something from a factory around the world. Yeah, it's very similar.
It's stuck in customs, and we're like, no.
Yeah, please fax more paperwork. Okay.
We do a lot of faxing here.
Yeah. Do you want to tell people how? Sorry.
Becky had a EL workshop.
Yeah.
She's doing a workshop at Madagascar, and she had 3 individuals show up. One lady was putting pink EL on her bike helmet, which was cool.
Yeah.
One was making a sound-activated EL T-shirt, which was also cool.
Going out dancing.
Going out dancing. And the third was a gentleman who was sewing some high brightness aqua EL to his rear bag on his bike, and it's also for visibility. This is really cool. This is like did safe projects.
Yeah.
Not dunking the EL underwater or something, you know.
Yeah, it's cool. And Becky's a fantastic instructor, so this was really cool to see her doing a workshop. So that's where she's at right now, doing this workshop as we speak.
Okay, great.
She's on special assignment.
Okay.
And then Andy tuned
Long
in.
time, Andy.
And he always has a cool mission control. He has a really nice setup. But what he did is he downloaded our new Raspberry Pi educational distro.
Yeah.
Called
Occidentalis,
Rubus Occidentalis, after the species of a raspberry called the black raspberry.
Goth raspberry.
Yeah, this is the gothiest.
Listens to the Smiths.
Yeah, that's how that was made. And so he showed off the distro, and he was talking about how easy it was to get stuff running. That was our goal.
Yep.
He used some other parts over I2C. Everything just worked.
Yep.
So that's
good. He said the I2C was working really well. That the distro was good, and and you know he had a suggestion, and I was like, well, what is a suggestion? So,
so it's great. And then Dan showed up, and he has a giant drawbot that does it
Yeah,
in
3D drawbot.
It's a 3D drawbot, and he was inside of it, and it
Yeah.
can put a object anywhere, and he's going to maybe make a claw, so you could possibly
Yeah, he wants
place
to do like a Lego. I don't know, completely.
stack them up.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool project, and his goal is to maybe do this full time as a maker for a living. So we asked him to make sure to document your stuff, send us links, and we'd love to post about it on the site. And he uses the Adafruit Motor Shield.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So do you want to tell people how to be on the show and tell?
Super easy. Just go to my personal Google Plus page and find the post where I say, hey, post here, and I'll add you to show and tell circle. And I'll add you to show and tell circle because we have to invite a circle. We can't invite the public. And then any Friday, or any Saturday in the future at 9:30, you will get a invitation and you can join whenever you want.
Yeah. And just like a technical note, so we've been using the show and tell from the start, and it's really solid now. We don't have any problems anymore.
It's really good, yeah.
And then coming up this week, you're going to be doing a Maker Camp event with Make.
Yes, on
Check
16th.
out Make's Google Plus page, and you're going to be doing Theoretical Thursday. And
Yes.
it's going to be all about electronics, computer science.
Yeah, I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do, but I'll
Yeah.
do something fun.
Yeah. All right, so let's keep moving along. Don't forget, code is distro. Use the code. So next up, every week I like to do mailbag. People always send us great letters. Sometimes it's tweets. Sometimes it's emails. It's a little bit of everything. But this is from Eric, and I really like this one. People like Adafruit are what enable people like me to do cool stuff. They figure out problems before I even know I'll run into them.
Yeah.
So we really like to see that because
That's what good documentation's all about.
yeah, that's one of the things when you do documentation, and especially with our new learning system, I really like the way that you know what's going to not work out for people, so you immediately, you even know in advance, and so when right before they have the problem, you're like, make sure you test this, make sure you do continuity tests here, make sure you do this other thing. So that was good. That was good to hear. All right, next up. People are using our badges all over the place.
Yeah, this is cool. This was a workshop for processing, and at the end of the workshop, they all got processing badges. This is totally awesome. So yeah.
Yeah, and so if you go to adafruit.com and look at our skill badge section, or the sticker section, saying they both have similar things. The badges, people can award them to students. They can get them for workshops. You can go through our tutorials and get a badge at the end if you want to do that. And the badges have worked out really well. It's been one of the neat things that have come out. We're still in beta for our digital version, so you could do this online and do digital versions. But people are using them for workshops. It's pretty cool. We're really happy with it. Next up, this is the e-bookshelf thing, so maybe you can explain a little bit about this. This is Kevin's post.
Yeah, he's talking. Well, so Peltiers are kind of interesting. Honestly, I don't completely understand how Peltiers work because I haven't researched it. But they're kind of tricky sometimes because they're bidirectional, which means you can either generate heat or anti-heat, cool, from it, or you can generate voltage from heat. So that's totally cool. Sorry, yeah, right. From differentials, you can generate a voltage to power stuff with, and they're a little tricky to use, and they're not terribly efficient. So, I don't know. Kevin found this awesome app note, and I don't know, read it if you're ever interested in doing either heat generation or cooling something or powering something from a heat differential. I don't know. It's all good.
Okay. And next up, this is Flickr Pool Friday. We do a post every week on Friday. So if you do a cool project and you take a photo, put it in our Flickr pool, and let us.
Yeah, I like this because it's a really cool old-looking flashlight.
Yeah.
And I guess he stuck a bunch of D cells in there.
Yeah. So that's one of the great ways that customers can show stuff by putting it in the Flickr pool. Okay.
This one stood out. I don't know.
Yeah, we really liked it. Okay. Next up, some news in the wonderful world of open source hardware. We're an open source hardware company, so every week I try to, if we have time. This week we don't have a guest. We don't have a bunch of stuff going on.
Yeah.
I like going over some. So the first thing that I wanted to go over is Robot Girl licensed her robot brain, the thing that runs all those cool robots,
RoboBird,
under the CERN open hardware license. And that's a little bit of a big deal because CERN came up with a really good modern open hardware license.
Yeah.
And
we use this license for the Raspberry Pi plate.
Yeah. So as far as I know, in our little community, Erin, Robot Girl, is now
Like the third or
second or
fourth?
third person in our like in the people that we know who make open source hardware to adopt this license. All of us have been using Creative Commons. It's just like an intent. Hey, like please share it, do attribution. Commercial use is totally allowed.
Yeah.
So she did that. So the CERN license is something we use. We used it for the Raspberry Pi Plate.
Yes.
It's under the CERN license.
Yeah.
So check it out. It's a neat license. And
Nobody's made a derivative yet, so we don't.
Yeah.
It's hard to know what it's really about. I mean, we release it anyways, but interesting to see what happens if somebody derives it.
And they have a whole group of people at CERN that are working on this. CERN's kind of neat because it's an international organization, and I think they thought about that.
Yeah.
And I also think that the fact that they found the Higgs particle
You
probably
like that,
is just when I choose a license, I would like to make sure. Yeah.
No, they're cool. I have a friend I think who still works there, and it's like it's cool because it's like the geekiest of the geeks. It's like the NASA of Europe. It's like where the geeks want to go.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, big news: the Open Hardware Summit tickets are on sale.
Yes, and there's a great lineup of speakers.
Yep.
A lot of new speakers and some return speakers.
Yeah, Chris Anderson is going to keynote. Chris Anderson, who's known in some circles as someone who's founded 3D robotics and DIY drones, and also he has a small little side magazine project called Wired.
Yeah.
So.
And he's writing a book.
A book, Atoms Are the New Bits.
And I think you can even pre-order it, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Also, Amanda the Wozniak is speaking about hardware.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think. I think Freak Labs, who is a visitor here in the chat, is also giving a talk. Yeah. And I don't remember all the names.
And folks can post up links in the chat to all this. I'm doing double duty here, so I'm not able to do it. So next up, and I have a thing to share and show about open source hardware. So right now there's an interesting debate going on.
A debate.
Go figure. In the world of open source. There's never any debate. People always agree about everything.
Can we call it a nerd fight? Or
I don't know. No, it's not. This isn't a nerd fight yet. So, on oshwa.org, the Open Source Hardware Association.org site, go check it out before and after I show and talk about this stuff because there's a big question for the community. Okay. So a little bit of background. Last year, the Open Hardware Summit. With Aya and Alicia and a whole bunch of people all came together and they did a community logo. The community designed...
Was that a year ago?
Yeah, it was a year ago.
No, it was a year ago, you're right. Sorry.
The community came together and designed a logo that represented open source hardware.
Yeah.
And we all voted on it, we all adopted it, we have all been using it. It's on hundreds of thousands of boards. There's like 10-year-old kids who put it on their boards. They sent it off to Dorkbot, PDX, at Maker Faire, every circuit board had it. It's on packaging of goods. It's on everybody's websites who sells and supports open source hardware. So this has been going on for a while.
And when we went to Maker Faire, we saw the open source hardware logo, and a lot of people would display it proudly, like, "Hey, like check it out, my stuff is open source hardware."
Yeah. People in the chat are saying, "It's on my board. It's on my board. It's on my board."
Okay.
So.
Congratulations, guys.
Congratulations. Everybody did a fantastic job. The word is out. There are kids who know what the open source hardware logo is better than they know like what the Nike logo is. Like there are little kids like that. No, we're living in a cool world right now.
Okay.
So last year there was someone on a mailing list. His name is Bruce Perrins, and he is one of those people that has been around in the open source world forever. And he said, "Oh, you know what? It looks like the OSI logo. And the OSI is the open source." The open source initiative, and they have a little logo that looks like a round circle with a keyhole. And I said, okay, I think it's different enough, and the community didn't seem to have a problem with this, and it's a very different intent than like promoting open source software.
Software.
Our thing's hardware, theirs thing's software. And I looked at their trademark or their thing, and it's like, oh, I don't think this is going to be a big deal. So I always take things upon myself. I said, oh, I'll just email the OSI, right?
Yeah, sure.
They're cool people. Bruce said they were dysfunctional, and I would not be able to get like an answer or something like that. And so I guess he had a falling out. In the open source world, everybody has falling out and forks everything. So, anyways, I emailed the OSI.
It's like Darwinian.
Yeah, I emailed there are Galapagos of things where there's like platypus open source. So, anyways, so I emailed the OSI, and I said, hey OSI, here's the logo. So the president was on this email. One of the OSI, the OSI. In charge of all this, another board member who happened to be a lawyer was on it, And they said, oh yeah, not a problem. It's a different logo. It looks different. It's for different purposes. No problem. And I said, okay, great. If you have any problems, if there's anything, let us know. Never heard back. I have an email. I have this email right here that you can see.
Okay.
It's posted up on the comments on that site. And I considered a case closed a year ago. I thought it was over. Right?
Okay.
Okay. Turns out there is a new OSI.
That was the prequel, right?
Yes.
That's the prequel. Now we're in episode 1.
Yeah. So now there's a new OSI president. His name's Simon. I actually just talked to him on the phone. Nice guy.
Okay.
He has a cool keynote from OSCON. And I think it's him and the board. They want the Open Source Hardware Association to license the geared logo. Sign a license and say the OSI owns it.
Sorry, I'm not getting bored right now.
Yeah, the OSI owns it. No, this is important stuff. The
Yeah.
OSI owns it, and you're licensing it, and you're going to take care of it, and you're going to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
Because the new board, this new person, thinks that it's similar.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's true. And I think that they don't own it, and in fact, nobody owns it. In fact, that's one of the things. No one's going to ever be able to really trademark this thing. No one owns it. It's basically public domain. And that's the great thing about it.
Okay.
And so they sent over a license agreement to not only the Open Source Hardware Association, but the Open Robotics Foundation, who also has a logo that looks like a claw. Very different. So here's all the logos. Well, actually, I'm gonna press pause on the story.
Okay, pause.
I'm gonna press pause on the story
Pause.
because, oddly enough, I have a weird thing that's happened 10 years ago.
Okay.
So around 10 years ago, this is a logo I designed. And thankfully, the Wayback Machine has it on my personal site. So this is my logo. I designed in 1999.
What Wayback page is it?
My personal domain.
Like filter.
Flash enabled.
Flash enabled.
Yeah, I was writing books and giving away the source code to Macromedia Flash files. And I had stickers made, had all this stuff. This is my logo from my personal stuff.
Okay.
This is all my things. I was at a conference where many of the open source people were at. So that's from 1999. Then in 2006, this came out. It's pixel per pixel. Maybe some of the people that were at OSCON, who now were in
the open source conference.
The open source conference, maybe they got the idea from me. I don't know. It's identical. And then
there's is green and yours is blue.
Yeah. Actually, you know what's funny? I talked to the OSI president last year about this, and they said originally it was blue.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyways.
Well,
So
it's green now.
so that's my logo from 10 years ago. This is the OSI's logo. They registered in 2006. And then this is the 2001 Community Design Open Source Hardware logo. And then this is the Open Robotics Foundation logo. I think it looks like a claw. The OSI sent them a licensing agreement too. They haven't signed it. The Open Source Hardware Association has not signed that agreement. Simon, who's now the president of the OSI, when I was on the phone with him, saw this, and he said, maybe we can add you as part of the history of the logo. This is mine from 10 years ago. So here we are. A bunch of open source people are going to probably be arguing about this,
Okay.
and it means they're not working on open source code or open source hardware. So I believe the best thing to do is say the open source hardware logo belongs to the community. It's different from OSI. No one's going to get confused. Why don't we just tell people, if you're going to use the community mark, the open source hardware mark, just make sure your stuff falls within the open source hardware definition. The end. None of this stuff is enforceable. It's a waste of time. No one's going to go to court over this. No one. The Open Source Hardware Association is never going to go after someone who puts the logo and doesn't release their files. We'll just shame them publicly and not buy their stuff. It's absolutely silly. This should end. So that's my rant.
That's your opinion?
That's my rant. That's my opinion.
Is that a rant?
Yeah. You're smart. You just want to work on open source hardware and software.
I work on a distro.
And you want nothing to do with this, and I agree with you.
I did a distro, meanwhile, this week.
Yeah. So, anyways.
There's 2 of us.
Yeah.
That's cool, though. I like
yeah.
it.
So, Phil and Little Phil up at the top both agree.
I'm imagining us.
Yeah. So, anyways.
Okay.
Just, 1999, 2006, 2011, 2012.
I think this is all just a waste of time.
I think it's a big waste of time. Okay, so that's it.
You know, it's a little bit sad. I do agree with you on one thing. I really would like the only differences, the differences between all these groups are like so minor.
Yeah.
You can tell how like countries erupt into civil war.
Yeah.
Right. This is kind of like it's like the same thing. It's like, but wait, you're basically the same people speaking the same language with the same genetic heritage and the same foods and the same clothes, but you hate each other.
Yeah.
And this is kind of how it happens.
Open source organizations all have the same goal, but somehow they find the one thing that makes it so they can never work together ever, and grudges are held for decades. Ah, floss! No, it's open source! Ah!
It's pretty bad out there.
Anyways, this is crazy. Okay, let's keep moving. Ask an Educator came out. Adam Kemp is our blogging school teacher. Oh, you know what? One last thing.
Oh.
I gotta say.
Oh.
Sorry, I have to say one last thing.
You're not done.
Go over to this site and voice your opinion. Everyone watching, if you think even in the realm of being reasonable and right, please post up comments because
please put polite comments.
Yeah,
so don't
polite
say
comments
more.
and just say like, hey, like whatever you think the community should do. This is kind of your chance to vote because I like that Alicia, who's the president, and the Open Source Hardware Association wants the community input. They're not just going to sign a licensing agreement or not sign it without getting community input. Anyways, that's what I was supposed to make sure everyone knew. Okay.
Okay.
Back to
lasers.
Ask an Engineer.
Lasers.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is how can I focus on 1 watt laser diode for a laser engraving project? Very cool.
A really expensive lens.
Yeah, very expensive lens. The next one is how would you suggest an Arduino workshop for 7 to 10-year-olds? So really good suggestions, really good stuff.
Yeah.
Adam does this every single week. He has fantastic posts. He's a real teacher teaching real kids all about electronics.
Awesome, and he had really good detailed answers.
Yeah, and he also writes cool requirements docs. Speaking of, the requirements doc that went up this week was a QR code.
Yes.
And he shows kids how to make their own QR codes, where to generate them, what they mean, how they work, and if they get it, they get a badge.
Okay.
And that's all part of adafruit.com/academy.
Yeah.
So check that out. Okay, next up, this is going to be some stuff for you.
Okay, great.
The Adafruit Learning
Time
System.
for me.
Yeah, well, I have just one update on that learning system that I want to talk about.
Yeah.
So the Adafruit Learning System is learn.adafruit.com.
That's right.
It's an awesome system
Go there
developed
now.
by Justin, Tyler, Daigo, you, and me a little bit.
Oh, come on.
I play around with it a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's our
and Becky does some stuff.
our new way to, and we have all of our staff using it now too. It's a new way that we're helping people learn electronics. So there's some updates to it. First off, you can add feedback and corrections. This is not asking for technical support. This is, hey, you have a typo. Hey.
Yep. If you have this link is broken, or like this image is blurry, or whatever, like technical, not tech support questions or philosophical questions.
Yeah.
But oh hey, can you somebody asked like, can you put up the MD5 sound for your distro? And I was like, oh, that's a really good point. I should probably do that, and I did.
Yeah.
So that's a good feedback.
Okay.
Correction.
And then next up, when you use a PDF, because the PDFs are generated automatically, they're beautiful. You can use them for workshops. But when something's a link and it gets turned into a PDF, that's only good if you're on a computer. So what we have is it auto expands the URLs as text. So
and uses our link shortener.
So if you just have a printout and you want to type in the URL onto a screen, we do that. The other thing is, this is kind of a neat thing that a user discovered.
Yeah.
If you open up the PDFs in something like Safari or
on an iPad
or an iPhone, you can open an iBooks and save it, and then
read it
later. Tyler, who wrote up the post, uses the Kindle to manage all his PDFs, so you can keep all your electronic PDFs in one spot.
Cool.
It is super cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
And there's some updated tutorials.
Yeah, so let's do this.
We did an updated multimedia tutorial. This is moved over to the new service, so that's awesome. Learn how to use multimeters. We'll be updating that tutorial as well. We put up an updated tutorial on how to use our LED strips and pixels that run on 5 volts off of batteries. A lot of people want to make these into portable projects. And so we have really beautiful vector drawings showing how to connect up 4 AA batteries to an Arduino and using a diode to drop the 6 volts down to 5.3, which is good, which is, within the input of the LED strip. Also how to calculate the power usage for batteries, because you can estimate approximately how long it'll last. We also have some new tutorials. Ooh, new tutorials.
Yeah.
First up, Kevin Townsend did a fantastic tutorial. We sent him a pie case and a cobbler and some goodies, and he got a Raspberry Pi. and he hooked it up to the NFC RFID board that he designed so long ago that we manufacture and carry. And the cool thing about this board is it uses the PN532, which is supported by libNFC, which is the Linux NFC library. And so since it's a very straightforward C library, he just did the minor details needed to port it over to the Pi, and he got it working. And he basically just, you can do NFC, RFID stuff with the Pi using this breakout with great range.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you have to disable the UART, but you show us how to do that.
K-Town is in the chat.
Oh.
Hey, Kevin.
K-Town.
We're going to try to get Kevin out here for the summit, the Open Hardware Summit, and for Maker Faire New York. Yeah.
Maybe he'll be on the show.
That'd be cool.
Ooh.
Ask a K-Town.
Ask a K-Town.
Okay. Let's keep moving.
Yes.
All right. Next up. You know what this one is.
Next up, Mikey Sklar of Truth or Consequences did a awesome tutorial. He's been doing a tutorial a week for us with Raspberry Pi, and he's totally Linux nerd and loves sensors and loves building stuff. So this is great. And he's using our tutorial system. This is a tutorial on using a TMP36, which is an analog output temperature sensor with the MCP 3008, which is an analog digital converter that uses SPI. It gives you 8 channels, so it's basically a really easy tutorial on how to use the analog inputs, use analog inputs using a couple dollar ADC on a Pi, and that was like so old hat. That was basically like 2 weeks ago what we did, and so he stepped it up. And he showed how to get that data onto COSM, previously known as Patch Bay or Pachubi, for people who didn't realize it was pronounced Patch Bay. So even though the Pi can serve as a web server, I don't suggest putting it out on the open network because it's a full computer and you don't want to get hacked or attacked or slammed or whatever. But what's really easy is, especially if it's behind a router or a firewall, you can send data out to COSM, which is basically a sensor plotting service. And you can see you can send the data using basic Python and a library that you just install very easily, and you can send data out. And you add like a Wi-Fi dongle, such as we'll hopefully have a tutorial for in a week or two, and you can have a cool wireless sensing platform that automatically updates through the internet, and then you can look at the graphs and grab the XML data from anywhere.
Yeah, I don't have a picture of Nimbus, the Internet of Things
class,
no. But this is part of our Internet of Things project.
Just imagine it.
Yeah. Next up,
Becky
did this really cool project. We're going to show a live demo.
Yes.
But we're going to take a break, and while we're taking a break, everyone's going to watch Becky's video about how to build your own open source language learning toy.
Babelfish.
Babelfish.
Okay. Go, Becky.
Here we go.
Go video, Becky.
What if you wanted to build a simple language learning tool that was also a fun interactive toy? Well, today we're going to build just that. We call it the Babelfish, and it uses Adafruit's Wave and NFC shields for Arduino to play back sounds associated with words and phrases on these RFID flashcards.
面条.
Let's get started.
For this project, we'll be using the Adafruit Music and Sound Pack, which is an add-on for the Wave Shield kit that provides a speaker and SD card. We'll also be using the NFC and RFID shield, and you can learn about that in our video right here. All of these stack on top of an Arduino Uno to drive the code. To make the two shields work together, you need to cut the trace between the IRQ pin and its header that connects to both the Arduino and the Wave Shield. Verify with your multimeter that the trace has been cut, and then solder a wire from the IRQ pin to digital pin 6. Confirm continuity with your multimeter. Next, it's time to build the Wave Shield. Start with a clean desk so you don't lose any components, and I like to load up the tutorial on my iPad. A pan of ice can be really handy for putting together kits with PCBs because it holds it sturdy while you populate the board with components. The Wave Shield starts out by adding the SD card holder. Then it's time to put in a bunch of smaller components, resistors and capacitors, and you can hold them in place by bending the leads on the back of the board. Then when you flip the circuit board over to solder it, they don't fall out. Clip your leads after soldering. And find the chip marked with an MCP and solder it in place as shown. Follow the instructions on the Wave Shield tutorial for the placement of the rest of the parts, and then get ready to solder your header pins. Cut them to size and then place them directly on the Arduino along with the Wave Shield PCB and solder them in place like that. Attach the thumb wheel with a small screwdriver and make these 5 wire connections. They're the same as the ones in the Wave Shield tutorial. Be sure to test each shield independently before attempting to combine them. And for this project, it doesn't matter which shield has stacking headers, but if you were making, say, an RFID door lock, you might want to put stacking headers on your wave shield so that the RFID reader would be as close to the surface of the door as possible. Next, wire up your speaker and solder it to the pins right next to the headphone jack on the wave shield. It's easy to make flashcards by simply printing out the words you want to learn and taping them to the RFID cards. You can also write on them with dry erase markers if you want to make them super reusable. Load up the sample code from the tutorial page for this project and open the serial monitor. Then put one of your flashcards near the reader and copy the number that appears on screen. It goes inside this for loop, along with the file name for the sound sample that goes along with that word or phrase. That goes in this part of the for loop. You can repeat the for loop for as many cards as you have.
选
Now on to build the enclosure. Use whatever craft supplies you have laying around, and then I couldn't figure out what the fish eyes were supposed to look like, so I looked up a fish on the internet, and I copied his eyeball and reflected it in Photoshop, and then printed them out on a piece of paper, and I'm going to glue those on. I'm using just this basic cardboard box as the body, and I want to cut a hole to make the RFID antenna into a tongue. So mark it with a pencil and then carefully cut a slit through all of the layers of cardboard with a utility knife. Next, mark where the speaker will go with pencil and then poke small holes in the pattern of your choice with an awl. I started this process on the inside of the box where no one could see and then finished from the outside to give the holes a finished look. To make fish fins, cut some freeform shapes from a yellow file folder and fold up tabs that can be then glued onto the body of the box. Disassemble the box and lay it flat on the table so it can get a nice even coat of glitter paint. This is actually glitter Mod Podge, which is also an adhesive, which is really useful when it comes time to glue on things like the eyes and fins. When it's completely dry, assemble the box and install the electronics. To secure the speaker to the box lid, I'm going to use a small piece of stretchy fabric and some yarn and a yarn needle. I'm simply going to make little bow ties that go through the fabric, through the box, and then back up through the fabric and box again, in 4 places around the speaker. Trim off the extra fabric and you've got yourself a speaker mount. It's even removable for later if you want to build a different project. Plug in the power cord through another hole you've cut in the back of the box, and make sure the volume is set all the way up. If you find it's not as loud as you want, you may need to amplify the waveforms of your sounds inside an audio editing program and load them back on the SD card. Here's Tom to test it out.
Oh boy. 犬
犬
犬
犬
和
和
和
和
面条
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 You can easily use a small number of cards and reprogram it before each session. Well, I hope I've inspired you to go out and make a project of your own, and I can't wait to see it in Adafruit's weekly show and tell on Google+. That's it for this time. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.
That was such an awesome video.
Okay.
And
You got it here.
we have it here. It's super golden. And we have some cards. Adabot, you want to try to remember this one?
Yeah.
What is it?
Is that T?
No.
Hello? No.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Alright. Well, yeah, it works really great. It's loud in here because we got so much stuff going on.
Yeah.
But it's super cute. And you don't have to have it sticking out. It can actually go inside the box because this works from, about that far away, about 4 inches away.
Yeah.
So you can have it in the box, but I thought this was a cute idea to take advantage of the fact that it can stick out, and that way it doesn't take as much box space. And then, yeah, you could, what I thought was really neat is that, every week, like when you take a language class, you usually have to learn like 10 words or so. So every week you could erase, you could write on it and with like a whiteboard marker, and then you could erase it and redraw the next week's words and recycle it. And, it's a fun little project. So I think a really great use of RFID in the Wave Shield.
Okay.
Arduino project.
Let's keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
We have some news in the world of Raspberry Pi.
Pi.
We've been doing some tutorials. We have some cool new products.
Mm-hmm.
We have something that John Janier worked on. So if you use Fritzing, which is an easy way to do diagrams, we have 3 things inside of Fritzing. You just have to download the Adafruit library off GitHub, github.com/Adafruit. And it's the first thing up there since we just updated. We have the Pi Cobbler.
Yeah. So we have these nice little things that you can put in so that you can do diagramming with a Raspberry Pi parts. So you
And
got
then-
the cobbler.
Yep. Oop. What else do we have?
Oh, we have the plate, and it acts like a breadboard, so you can actually put other components in it and like connect to it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then next up,
We have just the Pi.
the Pi.
You can connect female to male jumper wires direct to the GPIO pins. I don't suggest it because there's a lot of pins and they're easy to mix up. I mean, it's not a big deal, but it could be annoying. But for people who want to do more detailed diagrams, here it is.
Yeah. So we got that going on. We're going to talk about another Pi thing in our distro soon. Speaking of,
Oh yeah.
the
What's the code?
The code is distro. 10% off many things in the Adafruit store. Good distro.
Distro.
And we're going to move a little fast. It's
Okay.
time for new products.
Oh yeah. We have to get through these.
New products. New.
Okay.
All right. First up.
First up.
You want to do this?
Yeah, this is really easy.
Okay. I'm going to show a couple pictures.
Okay, so the first one, you have to, this is actually an updated product. So we had this box already, and I'm going to show the box.
Okay.
Maybe you can show me big style.
Yeah.
Big style. So we had this box, and it had this, half the height was this part, and half the part was this clear part. And it's a good box, but I kind of didn't like that it was so high. I wanted something with a little bit more kind of, I felt, slimmer dimensions. So we now carry this kind, which is just a little bit smaller, but it's still the same dimensions this way, and it's still waterproof, and it's a great larger box, and it's the second of our waterproof enclosures. Next up,
Okay. Next up on our list of new things.
chip kit.
Yeah, we actually have the chip kit UC32
Yes.
in stock as of right now. And this is, it has the headers, so you can plug in Arduino Shield
Yeah,
if you want.
it's Arduino shaped. It's not fully Arduino Shield compatible. So other than the Wing Shield, they're not all going to work. But enough people are kind of using this for stuff. We thought it'd be cool to carry in the store, and we said, hey, Digilant, as long as you don't try to tell people it's 100% Arduino compatible, which it isn't, we'd love to carry it, and they did that, and we have a bunch in the store.
Yeah, and one of the reasons, so this used to be called the Chip Kit Uno.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons we didn't stock it until now is when the marketing team met with us before they released it, they said, hey, do you have any changes? And we said we have 2 big requests and 1 small third one. The first one is, please don't call it the Uno, because customers are going to get confused.
Yeah.
Don't call it the Uno. It just seemed like it was a little unfair. And I know the Arduino team didn't like to see it called Uno either. It's not nice.
Yeah.
Don't call it Uno, because it's confusing. If a customer, for us to support it, if a customer says on the phone, or I have an Uno, okay, which Uno? There's plenty of other names out there. So he said, please don't do that. And then the other request was, on the box it said 100% Arduino compatible. And we said, well, that's going to be hard for us to support, because it's not, people are going to buy our stuff if we're selling these.
Like our shields, which are
And
very Uno or Duino Nove or Mega, specific.
And they're going to say, oh, what, I bought it because it said 100% Arduino compatible. And then we said also put in little rubber bumpers. So that was the marketing people who came and visited us before the launch, and they were very nice, they took notes, but then they decided just to do it anyways. And we said, you know what, you came, we did a meeting with you, we're not going to sell it until those changes happen. And eventually they did. So they did. They actually emailed later, and they said, okay, we're doing another revision of the board. We changed the name, and it doesn't say 100% Arduino compatible. Will you guys sell it now? and I was impressed. So we're selling it.
Okay.
Anyways, we thought that was a fair thing to ask for. Okay, next up, we have these little things.
Yes, we have some antennas, and I can show them on the overhead since they're very
Okay,
small.
you want to go to the overhead?
Not that small, but they're smallish. So this is there's two antennas. There's the 5 dBi, which is 8 inches long, and then there's the 2 dBi, which is 4 inches long. And I think this is a quarter wave, and the other one's a half wave. And it's kind of like your standard, like, swivelly, bendy Wi-Fi antenna. It's good for any 2.4 gigahertz stuff, such as like XB or Bluetooth or Bluetooth Low Energy or yeah, kind of anything that uses 2.4 gigahertz. There's a lot of stuff that uses it. It's RPSMA, so you can see that there's a hole in the center. We do have RPSMA to SMA adapters in the store. Also RPSMA to UFL adapters, because a lot of stuff uses UFL. It's small. And yeah, so we just have these antennas. We're going to try to do some more 2.4 gigahertz stuff that needs antennas. And the antennas came in, so we put them in the store.
Okay. And let's see, next up, we have some more stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to switch over to a video.
Yeah, please show this video.
This is exciting. So check this thing out. Look at this. I'm going to play like maybe twice. Yeah, this is our new EL wire. Yeah. All right.
So, yeah, let's show the overhead. It looks like the overhead, but it's not. So this is the EL wire, and it's kind of crazy. It's called like tri-core flowing effect, or whatever. So it's basically 3 thin strands of EL. It's actually really flexible for EL because the strands are so thin, and they're coiled around each other. And then they're soldered directly to the inverter. You can't easily solder these, and so we don't suggest it, so they're just attached to the inverter. And you can see it has this like totally awesome effect, and you can speed it up and slow it down. Although like the camera is gonna make it look really weird because it can't deal. But and it can be like kind of sluggish like this. So we've got it in green, and then oh, you can also just have it like all on, which is kind of bright.
Yep.
And then I'm going to show the pink. So this is the pinky stuff. And this inverter takes 2 AA batteries. We use rechargeables. Alkalines will last a little bit longer. You can use either. And there's a belt clip on the back. And then there's a switch for on-off, mode select, and then a thumb wheel for changing the speed. So, yeah, this one's pink, pinkish, reddish. So it's kind of cool, and you can adjust the speed.
Yeah.
And then finally, I'm going to show blue. Green is definitely the brightest, and then blue, and then pink. But pink is pink, so that's how it always goes. And we thought this was a cool thing. This could, this could be like if you have an EL project and you don't want to have it in, a controller or anything or sequencer, but you just want to have a little bit of motion, maybe. So this is blue. Speed it up and slow it down.
Yeah, that's fun.
So it's kind of cool. Yeah. Anyways, so
yeah, and then
there you go.
Yeah, the other thing is I wanted to show. We have these 3 quick videos too that we.
Yeah, we have little videos because they don't photograph very well.
Yeah, so we got
for video,
one like here.
Put this on the cat later.
The cat will get this later. Alright, moving right along. We have these screens, and we're not going to spend too much time on it because we still got a lot of stuff to do. But
I can show the screens during the when I boot up the distro. Basically, we have these little TFTs that have NTSC PAL driver boards, but they're like really small. I thought that was really cool for like really small projects. And you can plug them into the Pi or a Y-Box or anything that pushes out PAL or NTSC. And now we have these like monitors, and they're actually kind of like monitor-esque. They actually look like little televisions, and they're often used in car displays and like DVDs. So we have one that's 4 inches, and we have one that is 7 inches. There's actually like nothing in between 4 and 7. Maybe I can show on the overhead just the size difference.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is the 4-inch diagonal, which is like PSP screen sized, and then this is the 7-inch, which is like a small tablet display sized. And yeah, they act like TVs, so they only take NTSC or PAL, but they automatically select which one, NTSC or PAL. You can change stuff like the aspect ratio. You can do 4:3, or you can do 16:9.
Yeah.
The color, contrast, hue, all that good stuff you can adjust on them. I'll show them running
Okay.
later. We can show photos.
And then we also have this adapter.
Oh yeah, this is for said screens. It's basically like the shortest, RCA cable. This is because the displays have a cable, so adding in cable could make it like too unwieldy, and I just wanted to have a little.
Yeah. And then next up, we've got the watch. This is the new.
This is the new.
You can put it on the display there if you want.
Yeah, sorry, I'm going to show it off. So
Yeah.
it's got a big display, and you saw the display and some of the parts on it. It's surface mount, and a lot of the surface mount's actually all done for you. So there's only like 5 or 6 parts you put on.
Yeah.
But here you go. We have it set for the time, and there's all these modes which I don't completely understand. Worm. I don't know.
It's a fun watch.
Exactly what worm is all about. I'll tell you the date. Ask engineer, maybe I'll say. No, I'll say Saturday. August 4th. Yeah, it's a fun little watch, and it's really nice, and it's got this matrix display, and yeah, it's cool.
All right.
Time watch 2.
Next up, let's
Console
show.
cable.
Yeah, well, let's show.
Oh,
Here's
yeah.
some nice photos of it too. So there's that photo. That photo. This is what the kit looks like when you get it. And then let's move on to the this awesome console cable that you got.
Console cable.
So this is for Raspberry Pi stuff again.
Yeah,
You
well,
can use it for other things.
You can use it for other stuff. I thought it would be most popular used for Raspberry Pi stuff. So let me show it on the overhead.
Okay.
So I actually have one that I took apart because I was actually kind of interested in seeing how it works. Oh,
Oops.
sorry.
All right.
So inside the plug, there's like this big beefy plug, and inside there's a circuit board. I just taped this up, but it's got a circuit board with a chip in it, and you can connect it directly USB. And then on the ends, it has 4 wires, and it has white and green, which is RX and TX, and then red for power and black for ground. And the power and the red wire gives you 5 volts direct from the USB line, so it's like 500 milliamps. And then the green and white are 3.3 volt logic. So this is really good for, in my opinion, what I think it's best for is something like the Raspberry Pi, because you can't use an FTDI friend or cable because the pinouts are different. But with this, because the wires are separated, you can just you can configure them in any order. It's also really good for if you're like hacking a Wi-Fi router, because oftentimes you have to connect to the TTL port in order to install OpenWRT or whatever your interests are, or like other devices that have built-in computers, or like anything else that does TTL serial. You can use it with stuff like XBs probably, and other like modules that have TTL serial. It's not good for reprogramming stuff like a Arduino or a Menta or other Arduino compatibles, because it doesn't have the 5th RTS or DTR line, so it doesn't auto reset. So we don't suggest it for those, but it is really good for stuff like the Pi. And the chipset we tested under Mac and Windows, all versions, and it works really great. So, and it goes up to at least 15.2K baud, because that's what the Pi runs at. And yeah, it's nice. And you can power the Pi from it, or you can instead just connect ground and power arcs. And
Yeah. Someone wants to know, will this work as an FTDI? And the answer is
it's not FTDI.
it's not FTDI.
It's a different chipset. So yeah, so you can power it from something else, and then not connect the power line. So you have the flexibility of having 4 wires.
Okay. And maybe we'll run a couple minutes late because we have a little bit more to do and some big stuff. These are some images. I'm sorry, let me back up a little bit. This is that console cable.
Yeah.
Plug it into a Pi. And then this week, it's not a new product because we're just giving away for free, but it's our new distro. We have a Raspberry Pi distro.
Raspberry Pi
And
distro.
maybe you could talk about why we did this and what's in it, and how it saves people time to just get started doing electronics.
Yeah, so while I'm setting up the Pi here, so we actually were playing with the official distro. Well, actually, we were playing with the distro before this distro, and it had a lot less stuff going on with it. Oh, hey, can you show the overhead?
Yeah.
Maybe?
We'll go to the
So
overhead
I'm
right
going to show
now.
this. Oh, wait, I have to power this up.
Okay.
1 second. Let me get a power cable.
Yeah, if folks want to check learn.adafruit.com right now, they can go to the first link that's on there, and it's all about the Raspberry Pi distro.
Cable.
And
Man, I'm just having bad luck today.
what happened?
Oh, sorry. There you go. Okay. Oh no! My pie is being flaky now. This is the display though, so you can.
Okay. Yeah,
it's very hard to show this on video. So the thing with the distro is, I wanted to I want to do some Pi stuff, and I was using the distro actually before Wheezy, and it was like not really set up very well. It was actually really difficult to get stuff done with it. And then like halfway through like all my hacking, they came out with Wheezy, which is really good. It's a good big beginning distro for Pi. But there were a couple things that were missing from it that I thought would be really useful. Like for example, you have to have a console cable or a keyboard and mouse in a display to turn on SSH, because it's not enabled by default. And I wanted to make it so you didn't even have to have a console cable or like a keyboard. I wanted to be able to you could plug in Ethernet and then SSH directly into it. And so like avoiding the problem of having to get a keyboard in a display or having a console cable, which some people may not have. So I enabled SSHD on boot, and also enabled Bonjour, which is the DNS system that's like a localized system, so you can just SSH to Raspberry Pi and it will actually work. I also enabled some of the hardware low-level stuff that I liked, like the SPI hardware stuff, which requires like a long set of steps to do. The I2C, which was built in, but you need to just enable it. The GPIO one wire for digital temperature sensors. It's very popular. People like digital temperature sensors, and the Pi does support it, so I just applied the patches to the Wheezy distro. Also getting the Wi-Fi dongles working. We tried a bunch of Wi-Fi dongles, and the ones that worked best weren't supported by default. So we had to recompile the kernel with this new firmware built in, and now they work really good. So yay, that's really good. And then what else I put in? Oh, I made it a 4 gig image because it doesn't all fit in 2 gigs by the time you do all the stuff. And it does SSH keygen on boot, so you don't have to. There were other images that were like, oh, I enabled SSH, but you had to delete the keys on your first boot because all the keys were the same. So I just put in a script in the initd that would generate new keys every time you installed the image from scratch. So that was really nice. So you wouldn't have to have a security problem.
Someone wants to know, would this work on a BeagleBone?
No. It's a completely different chipset.
Yeah. So what we want everyone to do is to go, and if you have a Raspberry Pi, please check out this distro. Our goal was to make it...
I don't have time to demo it, but...
well,
maybe we'll show it next week.
Yeah, what our goal is to get everybody up and running, because when we talk to people, I can switch to the overhead.
Yeah, you can just show it really fast. I want to show this booting. It. So this is the... This is the 7-inch screen, and actually you can read the text. It's just really small, but we have a custom logo, so you know that it's this weird distro because we have to recompile the kernel. And we're totally gonna keep hacking on this, and we have a whole bunch of ideas of what we can do to make this. So you can see it's setting up Wave WLAN, so it's got Wi-Fi built in, and you can still log in as normal. Do you want me to try logging in, or?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I got my wireless keyboard. So, oh wait, I have to plug in the dongle. Oh. Wireless dongle. Okay. Go Pi. Enter. Oops. Give me a second. Is there any questions about the distro while I?
Yeah, I was answering him, and common question is, are you going to base it on the most recent version of Wheezy? We did.
We did. The question is, going forward, will we? So a lot of the mods that we used are based off of the C-Boot mods, and or Chris Boot's mods, and he uses a 3.2 kernel, I believe, instead of the 3.1, and he has his reasons. And so the question is should we move to this new kernel or use the original? I don't know. There's a lot of debate, so we're not sure, but we want to make it so that any tutorials that people write for Wheezy will also work on this version. We left all of the default stuff on the desktop, so you could run Python and Scratch and stuff. So that's all good.
And our goal was, because not everybody is an amazing, crazy Linux expert. They just want to start doing some hardware.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think oh, well, why don't you just write a how-to? And I'm this took me it takes actually like 8 hours to do all the mods. Like you have to like compile the kernel, and you have to like do this in, and you have to like put the firmware, and you get the firmware, and like Wi-Fi is different, and like it's all patched on different kernels. So there actually wasn't a single way to install all the stuff, because like some were patched on the 3.2, some were patched on the 3.1, and like whatever. And like I wanted it to still work on, you know, anything that people were expecting with the default Wheezy kernel. So I didn't want to like remove anything. Because I think Chris Boot removed a bunch of stuff to make it thinner, which Anyways.
And it is funny because like the people like especially like young kids that are getting Raspberry Pi and their parents are like, thank you so much, this is helpful. But like kind of the old timer Linux people are like, oh, all you have to do is like recompile the kernel. It's only like 2 or 3 days of work.
Yeah, the problem is you can't even compile it locally. A lot of these things you have to have a separate Ubuntu machine, and that's actually like. A lot of people, surprisingly enough, do not have a Linux computer at home. They have a Windows computer or at work. They can't have a Linux computer at work. They have a Mac or a Windows machine.
Teaching kids, you have to have them do something in 15 minutes. Otherwise, you lose them. And so what we wanted to do is have a distro that you just start it up, and you can immediately start doing cool stuff like lighting up LEDs. You know, if we're gonna make stuff that supports this, we want it to have a fun experience for people.
So, anyways,
okay,
yeah,
that's
what's
it.
that?
Okie dokie.
Really covered everything.
That is everything. We got through new products. Thank you. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Zoom.
I'm glad I got my Pi boot. I think my power cable got loose.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't really like micro USB connectors, but hey.
Yeah.
It's me versus the world.
Okay. All right. We're gonna do just a couple of fast questions.
Okay.
And then we're gonna get to the trivia questions. So ask your
pardon me.
Ask your questions. We'll do a little bit of a speed round here. We had a lot to catch up on this week, so. Engineering questions.
The distro is all I worked on this week, really.
Okay, Lady Ada, what is the one thing you still learn the most as an EE?
Debugging is a skill that you will always be honing.
Okay, does your hair glow in the dark? No.
No.
Under black light.
I don't know. I don't have a black light.
Yeah. KSO108, does it need anything special in the code to work? KSO108.
What code? There's no.
KS0108.
I need more information. That's not a question that makes any sense. Sorry.
Okay. How do I explain the Mars rover to a 4-year-old? I would use physical props to show that.
Yeah. You get a basketball, a little robot, and you put it on it.
Do you know any cheap, easy ways to detect UV light with an Arduino?
You could use a UV LED. It'll forward bias slightly when exposed to UV light.
Okay. Oh, that KS108 thing is 128 by.
Right, but you have to say
60.
what code. You can't just say
LCD.
what it says. Does it work with the code? I don't know what code you're talking about.
Does it need anything special in the code to work?
Yeah. See, I don't.
Yeah. The KSO is an LCD driver, right? Yeah. I don't know.
This doesn't. Yeah. I don't know.
We need full sentences.
Yeah, they need full.
Okay. Can you program the Arduino on the Pi?
Yeah, you can. You can install the Arduino IDE on the Pi and program it from there.
Okay. Lydia, do you know Pure Data?
No, I do not know Pure Data.
Okay.
I know a little bit of Max.
Where can I find the Dragon Claw files? Nothing coming up on Thingiverse. You go to thingiverse.com/Adafruit, and the Pi case is downloadable right there. It's under an open source license. You can learn from it, build from it, share it. Just share back. I think that's our speed round.
Okay, great.
Okay, let's do the trivia question.
Yeah.
Trivia question. What are the rules for the trivia?
Trivia questions are... we have a prize. We have a question. If you've won a prize from the trivia question before, please do not enter, because we want to make sure that every person gets to win a prize. We have hundreds of people who want to win.
Yeah.
And we love it when people say, I've been watching and this is the first time I won. Yay! So, like, that's cool. Like, people eventually win.
Tonight's prize is my favorite Arduino. I like the Leonardo the most because it's a low-cost Arduino that it's great for everybody.
Yeah.
My favorite Arduino right now.
Yes.
So we're giving away a Leonardo. And here's a question. I'm going to ask it, and you have to type it in the chat. And if there's some debate, I get to choose who wins.
Okay.
That's just our rule. Okay. 35 years ago, at a press conference at the New York Warwick Hotel, a computer was announced.
35 years ago?
Yeah. What was the computer that was announced 35 years ago in New York, right here, at the Warwick Hotel? And we have a winner already. Nomad DIQ, that's one, the TRS-80. That's correct. The TRS-80 it's 35 years old yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's older than me.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to do one extra trivia question. If anyone gets this, I will also send them a...
No.
Yeah, but
not double the Leonardo.
Yeah. So, by the way, the first person who won email support@adafruit.com. The other person, there was a TRS-80 clone. If you know the clone and the country it came from, within the next couple seconds, I'll send you Leonardo. It was a very funny name, so that's why. It was a clone of the
Man,
TRS-80.
this is obscure.
Micro B Australia. Oh, close. System 80 for Australia. Close, but there's another name for it.
I don't know. This is
No one's close. I mean, the clone was called the Dick Smith System 80.
Who wrote it?
Yeah.
I wonder who designed it.
Yeah, someone said System 80 Australia.
I think that's a winner from Australia.
That's pretty close. The first person who said it, I think, was
Wodime.
Wodime 1. Anyways.
Okay.
That's the name.
That's fine. Who's gonna know that? Who knows? Maybe they started naming it that, and then they were like,
yeah.
you know what?
Anyways,
like,
that was the
it's
clone.
confusing because it's like, who's
There's the
this
System
guy?
80. Yeah, and they had it. Anyways.
Okay.
That's our show.
That was the show.
Could you maybe show a couple things real quick on the overhead while I get MOSFET?
Oh yeah, sure. You know what? Maybe I'll plug in the 4-inch TV.
Yeah.
So this is the 7-inch. Then I'm going to plug in this little mini guy. So give me a second. I'll plug this in, and I'll plug in the power, and it'll be all like bleep bleep bleep. Yeah. So this is the little. Oh, it's so small. Maybe I'll boost up the brightness a little bit. Yeah, it's really nice. It's a nice screen. I think I like the 4.3. It's extremely legible.
Yeah.
Despite its small size and the fact that it's NTSC. So yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna go to town. Maybe I'll start browsing the internet.
The moment everyone's waiting for.
What, cat with the glowy stuff on it?
It's cat with glowy stuff on it.
Okay. Alright.
All right, here
That's
he
what
is.
people want. I mean, like, we have to fulfill. Oh man, he's looking at me. He's like, "Why'd you do that?"
Why are you doing this to me on the internet? Hey, cat.
Like, it's like you can't
It's
see.
making the camera blurry. There he is.
I'll slow it down a lot. He's a chill cat.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
He doesn't like the inverter.
That's it for us tonight. Thank you, everybody, for showing up in the chat. Thank you for tolerating my history of logos. I want to be the Paul Rand of open source logos. Yeah.
I gotta hear about it for another couple of days.
Yeah, so we'll be back next week as usual. We'll have the show until next week. Next week is around our 3-year anniversary. We've been doing this for 3 years. Ask an
We
Engineer.
have an exciting week next week. We have a lot of cool stuff planned
Yeah,
out.
we have a big surprise that might not happen next week, but it'll be the week after. It's a really big new change and new addition to the show. You guys are going to love it.
We're gonna kill off a character.
No, we're not going to kill off a character.
We're killing off a
There's
character.
only a couple characters. No! No! I don't like this.
MOSFET, you're fired.
All right, there's the code
No more
distro.
tuna fish.
And we'll see everybody next week. Thanks so much, and happy hacking. Here is your moment.
And try out our distro.
Yeah, please do. Here is your moment of Zener.